Good morning, Sean here. It is now 8:41, time for your Revelstoke Mayor Report with Mayor Gary Sauls. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Sean.
How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Oh, it's a Friday and I'm excellent.
Awesome.
So what are you doing on May 1st? Are you going to help me move?
Well, maybe. I don't know. Depends on what the payment is.
Oh. So how was your meeting yesterday?
Well, it was good. We had 100% more people yesterday than we did a year ago. So a year ago we had 2. Yesterday we had 4. But we live streamed it, so we're hoping that there's more people in the community that will look at the live stream and may have some questions. So we're entertaining questions, concerns, that sort of thing, to the city and through a web or an email address, budget@revelstoke.ca. So if the community has questions, we're listening, and we'll do a cutoff on that, I think, by the end of the day on March 12th.
Okay. I did have one question about that.
Sure.
And it was kind of brought up to me with someone from the community. And it was looking at, this may have come up in yesterday's meeting, but in case somebody was, watching Netflix instead. Okay. So just looking at, like for City Hall exterior, the cost jumped quite a bit from 2018 to 2019.
Yep.
There was, I believe, $640,000, and I think it was previously, it was 600, and now this year it's $835,000 for the City Hall rehabilitation exterior. So I think the question was, how did in 1 year it jumped a couple $100,000 for stucco? Unless it was, we're running out of stucco all over the world.
No, I think what they were going to do is try and take it back down to the concrete that was there, and they did a sample patch at the back and realized that all it was doing was pitting. It wouldn't look the way it was originally before they put the stucco on it. So now it's going to have to be refurbished with some sort of material once they take all that crap off. They're going to have to retake the planters off at the front. Apparently there's not rebar or not enough rebar. They're not hanging onto the building or something to that effect. So,
okay. So there's some changes, and that's why.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
just costing more. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think, and that was it, and I brought that up earlier, that there, you could compare each budget last year and this year, and there might be some things going, what in the H, and I'm sure there's probably a reason. And if you have those concerns, you should ask them.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
we want to hear people have concerns. One member of the media asked yesterday, well, if people have concerns outside of what's been already planned for the budget, can we ask those questions? I said, yes, ask the questions. Let's see what we can do to answer them in a way that's understandable. So it's always easier for the accountants to talk numbers, but it's harder for the layperson to understand that unless it's put in a way that is comprehensible. And so we are attempting to do that in the greatest way. So.
What's your take on the idea of we should go to them rather than come to us? Like, I'm sure you're reading all the articles that's going on,
Yep.
and you've got the idea, okay, well, send us an email, call us, come to us. But then there isn't that draw to go, or it just doesn't happen. So they say, well, go reach out and go to the community. Okay, that's fine. So for the city's perspective, they ask on Facebook or they ask in any of the media outlets, but then there's no response. At one point, when do you go, well, I don't know what to do next, because we're saying to call us, but you don't. And it seems to be like, basically it's referring to going to the Revelstoke community page and letting us know, and you guys following what's going on the Facebook page. But I still think it's still a fraction of the people living in Revelstoke that go there. Right?
Yep.
Like, lots do, but lots don't, right? I mean, we all have our preferred methods, right? So how is the city looking at this? And I know we could talk about the communications director, but how is the city looking at this going, well, what more could we possibly do?
Well, I think we're all asking each other that question. It's like, okay, what's going to be the best way of engaging with the community so that people are paying attention and that they're interested in what's going on? It's always a hard answer. Yep, nobody cares, or yes, they do care, but they're bored, or whatever the case may be. And it's probably all of those things. And then when I say people don't care, it's not that they're not caring about it, but it's not in their forefront. in their life as far as budgets go and that sort of thing. And so for some people, they say, well, we've trusted the people that we've elected that they're going to look after us. And some people say there's no way in hell I'm going to trust that. I want to look at it myself. So I'm not sure what the engagement process is best. We could go out to the community. We try what we can, but as we move forward, we're hoping that we can figure out what's going to be the best way to engage that people actually want to respond.
Well, there's always going to be those that just don't follow it. I had somebody walk into the studio once right after Mark left, and she goes, "Who is that?" I said, the mayor. Oh, that was the mayor. I said, yeah, that was the mayor. So not everyone follows. So it's going to be hard to reach everybody. What do you got there on your little cheat sheet? It's a nice stick person that you drew. Very good, Gary.
So I try, right? This is the thing that the city has just put out through the community or through the economic development. It's the TELUS Insight information that tells us, basically states that we're pretty much double the population living here for 45 days or more year round.
Yeah, I read that report, and when I was at the meeting, and I know that there's still more work that they want to do to really have it with very specific answers and clarity. I know they're still looking at that,
exactly,
and they should if we're going to use those numbers as a basis moving forward. But it's funny, we use the word, we have 7,500 people living here, and that's fine, but that's not the tax base. We say 75, but it's, 3,100 odd homes. That's
3,240 or something like that.
That's the tax base.
Yep.
Because kids are not paying taxes. I'm sort of doing it for them, right? Or at least mine anyway. So
exactly.
That's a big chunk of money for a small group of people covering a very large amount of people visiting. Yeah. That is a lot of toilet flushes.
It really is. Yep. So it will set things up as we move forward as to how we deal with things. So definitely our economic development officer is looking at the parameters with which TELUS has come up with this information. They're going to kind of drill down and talk to TELUS a little more about exactly how they've come up with this and what's defined. TELUS is working well with them. But this is just to give us an idea that definitely what we already knew, that there's more people here than what our census tell us, but for how long and where are they from, that sort of thing, and where are they living, right?
And one question that came up is that it's based on tower service.
Correct.
And Bell and Rogers both use that tower service. So they're collecting cell phones, not just on TELUS users, they're using Bell users as well as Rogers. So they are collecting all of the moguls that have cell phone servicing. So it is tracking it fairly well, but they still want to get some specific answers. Yeah. And they should. Holy smokes, eh? How are we ever going to tax that remaining half or more than half?
Well, that's a concern, right?
We'll just walk around with a bill. Just start handing people bills. What's this? It's a bill you owe. Did you flush a toilet today? Well, that's $6.
There we go.
A $6 flush. Is there anything else that's going to be coming up in the next short while that you think will be pressing besides budgetary issues?
It's nothing that comes to mind for me. We're going into spring, or we're hoping we're going into spring. So with the road conditions and still some avalanche control and bailing and whatnot on the highway. So we just ask people to be cautious with that.
I suppose we'll have to be wary, because if we do have an early spring, which it's sort of suggesting that we might,
right,
a lot of fast melt comes with a lot of mudslides. So
yep, concern.
Make sure you're insured.
Awesome.
Thanks, Gary.
All right, thanks.